So let's start off with the current conflict. Can you break down what exactly is happening in Iran and why so many Persians are protesting?
Well, you got to go back for that. You got to go back to 1978 and 79. As a, Iran used to be, or Iran, however you say it. People keep correcting me. Iran was a, Western leaning society. They had, women in miniskirts and open hair, and they were fully integrated into society. And slowly but surely, over the years before, you had the communists, the leftists, and the extremist Islamists were bounding together and slowly taking over the country at the lower level, right? So they were doing city councils and, boards and some courts and some judges and some, the judicial branch until they had enough power to flip it. And within less than a year, they flipped it to the extreme Islam, to the, Islamic caliphate, if you will. And at that time, when they took over, then they basically killed all of the leftists and the communists that helped them get in power. So that's an important model that's used. Stalin used it. Now it's being used in America as well. So you have the extremist Islamists, you have the leftists, and you have the communists all banding together to try to, unseat democracy. So we got to watch out for that. Number one. So since 1979, they've been in power. And through the years, I think 2003, 2009, 2022, there were uprisings and demonstrations and things like this. 2009, I actually marched in a demonstration for Iran, pro-Persian, not pro-Iran, pro-Persians in Berlin, Germany. So the Green Revolution, you may have remembered it. And now it just got to the point that it's too far. It's been going on too long. Now I have Persian friends all over the world. I have some Persian friends in Persia as well, or in Iran as well. And they're flying to me basically every day, hundreds of messages. One day I got 2,000 messages a couple days ago from Persians all over the world that saw my video. They've had enough. They're trying to stand up to make it happen. Now, of course, you have to accept, and I'm not confirming this, nor am I denying it. I'm just putting it out there. What's being said is that when you have an uprising in a regime that, let's say, Western powers don't appreciate or like, they'll probably usually try to support that in a covert manner. So you can probably consider that in there is different Western intelligence agencies that are egging on this rebellion. And so it's a dangerous situation because you have citizens with nothing facing armed soldiers, even tanks, machine guns, weapons. And now what you're hearing is that the regular police, most of them have stepped down. Even whole police stations have closed because they're not willing to shoot their own citizens. So they started bringing in Iraqis and they started bringing in Lebanese to do the shooting for them. I had one of my Iranian friends, Persian friends, tell me they heard Arabs speaking when they were shooting. And it turned out a couple of days later, I confirmed it with my intel guys that yes, indeed, there were some ISIS guys there that were recruited specifically from Iran to shoot their own people because the police wouldn't do it. And then that's when the U.S. forces sent over or sort of solidified their troop presence there in Iraq in order to quell that from the outside instead of getting involved from the inside. So it's a big mess right now. And then, there was in Reuters yesterday a report that they're amassing troops near Iran for a strike. And then right after that, President Trump came out and said, "Oh, they've told us that there's no more riots, there's no more demonstrations, and they won't execute anyone." At the same time, within a couple minutes of each other. I could tell you what my theory is on that, but I'm not sure if it's, aiding and abetting or not. But I'll just give you a parallel. So I was in the Gulf War in 1990. I was in Iraq. And leading up to the invasion to free Kuwait from Saddam Hussein, it was publicized, much like this is being publicized, that we were coming and where we were coming from. And that was, we're going to come on the coast. So Saddam Hussein amassed all of his troops on the coast, and we came in from the back. And so sometimes the reason information is put out there is to disinform and to get and elicit a reaction from the parties to be. So they're trying to get a reaction from Iran. Some even went as far as saying Iran might strike first, and then they're the aggressor, and then we can react. So there's all kinds of theories out there of what's actually going on. But my final word on this is it's time for the Iranians to get their country back, or the Persians to get their country back. I'm not sure if the Shah's son is the right, Reza Pahlavi is the right person, but he would be there for an interim time to get it going. And what's interesting is he's speaking with. This is not confirmed. I've heard this from my Persian friends. He's speaking with the CEO of Uber and one of the investors of Uber. They're both billionaires who are apparently committed to sort of funding this interim takeover period once the Ayatollah is removed and the people get their country back. So there's a lot going on outside of the center of hell right now. But they say, just to put it in perspective, between 12 and 14,000 Persians have been killed in the last couple of weeks. And if perspective wise, if you look at Ukraine, 14,000 civilians have been killed in the last 3 years. So that 3 weeks, 3 years, that just should give you an idea of how bad it is.
Why is this just now becoming a big issue? Like you said, it's been pretty bad since 1978, really bad. Religious fundamentalist theocracy. Why is it just now becoming an issue?
Oh, I don't know. I personally don't know, but there's been many reasons. There's always been an undertone of we need to find a time to shoot the gap, open the door, crack the wall, whenever you see when a party or a folk or a group of people are unhappy, they're going to look for cracks and risses, and they're going to shoot that gap. They're going to try to make that crack wider to break it down. But I'm sure there was a set off. Something happened. It's hard to get information on that, but I'm pretty sure it was helped along by the West.
What do you believe is the right move for the U.S. to make? And part and parcel with that, do you believe that what do you believe is actually going to happen within Iran in the near future?
Um, what I think they should do is they should use kinetic weapons and take the Ayatollah out, take the entire leadership out. Now, I'm not a war guy anymore. But this is different. I mean, I know these people personally. Like, I know a lot of people, a lot of Persians. I had a company in Hamburg. I had 70 employees that were all Persian, right? I had two of my assistants were Persian. I worked in California. They were Persian. I worked in Chicago. They were Persian. Like, I have friends in Switzerland and Germany and Austria, everywhere. They're all Persian, and they're great. And they all have the same mentality. They're calm. They're collected. They're gracious with their time. They're gracious with their words. They're all very, very highly educated, incredible people. I hate to generalize, but I think it's the only people in the world where you can generalize because almost all of them are the same. It's incredible. I think they should take a kinetic weapon, very precise, take out the Ayatollah if they can find them, take out the leadership if they can find them. If that's too brutal, I'm pretty sure that there's a way for them to send in Delta or some other black ops to go in there and take them out. Just not sure. Because my experiences with Iraq is you have this massive army. Everyone thought when we went into Iraq that we were going to lose because they had 5 tanks for every tank that we had. As soon as we showed up and a few people were hit, everyone else threw their arms up, right? Immediately. Because most of these soldiers they're fighting for any ideology because they're being forced to fight. They're not fighting out of patriotism or love for country. So once you show up with force, they might just give up. Now, when Iran was fighting Iraq, that was 6 years. And that was because it was Russia fueling America through a proxy. So it was like basically Russia and America fighting through Iran and Iraq. So it was a big mess. So this could be a little different. What I think is going to happen, I think it's going to, I don't actually want to put anything out there, but what I would like to see happen is that they move quickly and bring this to an end, because it's heartbreaking. Now, I have to be honest. I'm noticing on my profile where I did a few Iranian videos, probably about 500 bots that are fake Iranian accounts. They're all saying the same exact thing. Thank you for being our voice. Thank you for being our voice. Thank you for being our voice. And I'm getting messages from these people. It's copy and paste long paragraphs, the exact same message from 500 different accounts. So that's what I'm saying. There could be some West propaganda in there. There could be some influence on there from who knows where, in order to get public opinion swayed in their favor. You don't have to sway me. I'm for the Iranian people. I'm for the Persians.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about with this conflict is if we have another Iraq situation where we're in Iraq for almost a decade and just don't leave.
Well, I don't think that'll happen. Number one, because if you look at Venezuela, yeah, how President Trump handled Venezuela, he went in, took out. Actually, it was an extraction, by the way. Well, it wasn't even a takeout; it was an extraction. He was waiting for him. He was already in under friendly house arrest by the generals, apparently, and then they just came and picked him up for. He's going to do some infiltrating, if you will. There's a whole, geopolitical reason why Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, Cuba. There's a reason for that, and that's because that area, the narco money, that funds the imperial leadership, financial leadership of the world. So you cut that money off, you choke them out in other areas. That's why that was happening. So in Venezuela, he went in, took out the bad guy, according to the press, and left the vice president in charge with some advisors, which means he didn't want to go in there and take over the country. He wanted to leave it to the people with advisors in place. So we'll see. And I don't think that they want to commit troops that long and that deeply into another region. At least that's what I'm hearing.
Let's talk about Venezuela. What
Yeah.
effect do you think the Maduro kidnapping just a couple of weeks ago will have? And do you think Venezuela might collapse further with their new vacuum of leadership?
I wouldn't call it a kidnapping, like I said. There was a lawful court order, an arrest warrant for him, a lawful arrest warrant from 2020, I believe it was, or something like that, that they executed. So they picked him up on a lawful warrant. So it wasn't a kidnapping and it wasn't an abduction, like everyone likes to say, the press. So it was legal, if we want to look at it that way. Right now, there is no vacuum. Right now, there's still a jostling for positioning. The vice president who is in charge now, she's apparently sort of one of them, but towing the line. But you see that through this, and now the troops moving to the border to Mexico. There's some American troops that have moved to the border towards Mexico now, to show strength, and through that Mexican issue and through Venezuela, Colombia is now boxed in as well. So they're sort of under pressure. And then you have Lula from Brazil, who is an absolute leftist, really bad for the people, a complete dictator. It's horrible. I have some Brazilian friends as well. He's now towing the line and looking for talks because he's worried, you know, that something like that could happen to them. I don't think there's going to be a vacuum in Venezuela. This is my personal opinion, right? I'm uh, I'm not a South American expert, put it that way. I'm more of a European guy. I've lived in Europe. I came to Europe in 1986, and I've lived in 10 countries. Eight of those were European countries over the last 38 years, 39 years, with stints back in America. But I still have residency in Germany, Hungary, and now in Turkey as well.
So, weren't they going to replace the Maduro with like a Nobel laureate or something? I heard something about that.
There was talk about that, yeah, but who knows? Things change daily. So you always take it with a grain of salt. Even when I do my videos, I'm like, it is being said or it has been reported because nothing is absolute. Nothing is absolute. It can change daily. Something changes across the border. They need someone else, a strong arm in there. They'll put a strong arm in there.
Do you think they're just gonna replace Maduro with when I say they, I mean the United States, replace Maduro with like a puppet leader?
Well, if it depends what you consider a puppet leader, because if we look at Europe, Macron, von der Leyen, Kallas, Merz, all of these Western European, Mark Rutte from NATO, they're all puppets, every single one of them. No credibility, no backbone, no say. They're doing what they're told completely. Most of them are criminals from their own country. They were busted for fraud or coercion and racketeering, and they sent them to the European Union and said, "You either do what we say, or we're going to put you in jail." And I'm not just making that up. That's actually proven. If you can look it up, look at Ursula von der Leyen as a defense minister in Germany. Mark Rutte was the prime minister of Holland, and then you had Kallas was the prime minister of um, that little country. I spoke there actually. And
Luxembourg?
what's that?
You mean
Estonia,
Luxembourg?
Estonia.
Estonia. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they came from nothing. Like, Macron never had a job in his life. He was pruned through the young the World Economic Forum Young Leaders Program, and he was just brought up through the ranks, placed in a bank, placed in another bank, placed in another bank. Then he was prime minister. So these are all puppets, and that's the problem with the world right now. And that's why I started Take America Back, because we have these career politicians and these people that are in the clubs that are running our countries. And Take America Back is all about citizen servant leadership. That means people like you and I that learn about what it means to be a servant leader and how to run your life first, then your community, then your city, then your state, then your country. And I started this just organically from my videos. People started talking to me. And within 3 months, we're everywhere. We have Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, UK, a couple other countries that are asking for the doctrine. Now, there's a book, and then there's a university certified leadership qualification course to be a citizen servant leader. And then we're going to have a roster of citizen servant leaders that are certified, that can run in any party, as long as, because it doesn't really matter what you say or what you do. It's about how you say it and how you do it, right? And if you can, I'm trying to bring back cordiality. I'm trying to bring back human communication. You go online and you post a video and someone says, "Who's this F word? Who's this C word? You're a all this kind of stuff. Never met you, don't know anything about you, never Googled you, nothing. They just don't like the way you look, and all of a sudden they're swearing at you. That needs to stop. And we can take it back. We can take the republic back, from the bottom up. That's the only way to change it. Because you got to realize there's a system that runs, career bureaucrats and employees that work for the government. They push buttons. They're like this. They're like, look, I don't know what's going on with the money that I'm sending over there, but this is my job. And I got a mortgage. I got kids in college. I got all these bills to pay. I can't lose my job. So I have to push this button. Weaponized debt is a big problem in America. And so if you have this system and you replace the top with Trump or Biden or Harris or whoever you want to place it with, nothing's going to change, because this is the system. So what we need to do is re-educate and infiltrate from below. We build a parallel power structure. That's all we do. And we're not replacing it. We're building a parallel power structure that's done by the citizens for the citizens. And, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are signing up just to get more information. We're not even ready yet. The book's being edited as we speak. And we're getting sponsorships as well, which is great, because in order to do this, we really need to pump some money into this thing to make it legit, to get the certified, to get the media company up and running, moving to America, to set up the entire brick and mortar, and really get the training academy and everything rolling with mentorship and everything else for these people who want to run for office. We already have 2 people who want to run for governor, 3 or 4 who want to run for Congress, a couple city hall, and a couple sheriffs asking for the doctrine right now. And we need to get to the states. So what I can't do is take $20 million from X, Y, and Z, right? Because then I'm beholden to them. So this has to be a grassroots movement funded by the grassroots. Everybody pays, if they want. They donate, not donate, they sponsor with $5 a month, $6 a month, $10 a month, whatever they can afford. And it's incredible to see the people stepping up and saying, look, here's my donation, or sorry, my sponsorship. How else can I get involved? So you have people, and well-known influencers too, by the way, that come and say, look, you're an older guy. Your demographic is people listening to you is 45 and above. I'm a younger guy. Everyone knows who I am, and I love what you're doing. Let me do the youth movement. They're coming from alone. People coming like, hey, let me edit your book for you. Hey, let me do this for you. Let me set this up for you. Let me teach you this. Let me show you this. And that's the whole premise of citizen servant leadership, is we lead each other. Right? We lead each other and we work in consensus. So it's exciting. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off term there, but what you're describing is a world that's run by elites and people who don't give a damn about people like us.
That's okay. I'm very interested in this Take America Back thing. I looked at the website. I'm a little bit confused though what the end game of it is. Is it just to gain power to put people in like elected positions, and so you could change the system? Or is it just sort of like a grassroots movement to get like aroused, not aroused, that's a bad word. Get citizens like riled up to be like against
No, we're we are not partisan. This is about a simple fact. When our republic was founded, it started with a bunch of people meeting in pubs, basements, and barns, and saying, "How can we take America back? How can we take America for us?" And that's how they planned it. That's basically the digital version of what we're doing right now, right? This is the digital version of what they did back then. And what it is we're going to train citizens who want to lead in government, local council, sheriffs, city council, school boards, things like that. How do they conduct themselves? How do they decide on policy? How do they make the right decision? How do they communicate with people so that they're not arguing all the time? Because that's the biggest issue, right? Is people argue all the time. No one listens to each other. I want my way, and the only way to get my way is to make everybody on the board like me, and then we vote that way. So that's not the proper procedure. The proper procedure is you have cordial discord. You talk about the pros and the cons, and you decide what's best for the community, and then for the city, for the state, for the country. That's what we're bringing back. This isn't about power, not at all. Matter of fact, you take an oath when you take the course, and you basically swear yourself in. You take an oath to conduct yourself in a certain way, and we own the rights to pull that certification if you don't. Right. So if someone's out there and they're taking bribes and that kind of stuff, sorry, you're not on the roster anymore. We are removing or revoking your tab your tab certification, CSL, Citizen Servant Leader. And that's coming across very well with citizens who are like, wow, that means they have to step up. And if they don't, well, it's gone. And on top of that, they also have to agree that there will be term limits if they get elected.
this question might be a little bit vague, but how corrupt would he say is the United States government?
Every government's corrupt in one way or another. And the problem is the you scratch mine, I'll scratch yours system. People who go into government often go in there with good intentions. And so I'm a co-founder of the Civil Coalition of Germany, 2003. That turned into the AfD party, which is now the most popular party in Germany, right? The largest party in Germany. The vice chairman of the AfD is my partner, and her husband is the chief strategist, also for Bolsonaro, also for Chile, also for Orban, also for a couple other leaders. And we have daily communications about this. And this is what happens. So you get into politics with good intentions. And someone who's more powerful than you said, "Oh, you're doing a great job. Come, let's have a meeting." And you have a meeting in their office. And then they say, "Hey, I'm going to step out for a second. I'll be right back." They leave. Two young girls come in, jump on you. They take pictures. Suddenly, they got you, right? Because it doesn't matter if you did it or not. What matters is the accusation. That's just one way of blackmailing you. And that's what happens in these governments. They get you intertwined in all these things, and they trick you, and they take pictures or get you on camera or get you on video or get you on audio, and then they have you, and then they make you do things you don't want to do. And then of course there's money. I've been offered money to do this right now, and those people said, "Look, I'll give you whatever you want. You want $10 million? You want $20 million? We can do it." But there's strings attached, and I said, "No, I won't have any strings attached." And that's why we cannot take large donors or large sponsors. Because if we do, then we're beholden. We're just like everybody else. And that's what we're trying to avoid. And, some people think I'm naive, but I can tell you this. I didn't promote this. I didn't tout it. I didn't even create it. It created itself, and it's exploding. And I'm not even saying it. I'm not doing any promotion, not doing any PR. All I do is a video a day about what I always did. And at the end, I said, "Hey, join me on jointab.us or join me on Patreon." That's all I do. Everything else happens on its own. So the wish is there. I was on a radio show the other day, 2 weeks ago. It was DC, Virginia, and Maryland, like tri-state area. And I was on for 20 minutes. And it's been around for 20 years, this show, when they do it every day. And my episode, even though no one knew who I was the most questions asked in an episode ever for 20 years because of what I was saying, not because of who I was. And that's the key to TAB, to take America back. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about the other people. It's about us. It's about the system and the structure and the doctrine that we're putting back in place to take America back. It's an amazing, amazing movement. It's an amazing infrastructure that we're building. We're going to have a news team. We're going to have a training center, a leadership center, and we're never going to get involved in politics. But I have people on all sides of every aisle that we can put in touch with the people who want to run to learn how to run and learn what you need to do and all this kind of stuff. We will help you, support you, as far as the leadership and the doctrine and how do you act in politics? How do you be the beacon of light? It's about honesty, integrity, and transparency, certainty, moral courage, and accountability. These are the kind of things that we teach, and these are the kind of things that we're helping people understand, that these are more important than big words and loud voices.
This question is sort of harping on the last one, but to what extent are U.S. foreign aid commitments, especially to Ukraine and Israel, driven by genuine national security interests versus political pressure and profits and coercion? And do these commitments meaningfully benefit Americans or mostly sustain the military industrial complex by exaggerating external threats?
Well, there's an exaggeration of external threats. We know that because most of those external threats were created by the West. We know that. Not to get into detail, but everyone knows that now. It's common knowledge. Number one. Number two, I would say no, that this foreign funding does not help the American citizens directly. It absolutely does not. Doge proved all that. Matter of fact, we ended up spending more money through Doge than we did saving it, unfortunately. But that uncovered a lot of what people are now frustrated about. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't help Americans. There's a lot of fraud going on. Everyone knows that as well. The question is this: why is it not changing, and why is it getting worse? Right? And that's because there's no accountability. There's no consequences. They just keep doing it. Nothing's happening. And you catch someone's hand in the cookie jar, you take the cookie away first time. Second time, you got to maybe put them in a room for a little bit, and if that doesn't work, then you got to put them in jail. Nothing's happening. Not even a slap on the wrist. And so that's why it's just going to continue until something changes. And you will not change this system from the top. It just won't happen. You can put a president up there that says we're shutting everything down. He'd be gone in a few weeks. He wouldn't even get there in the first place because you got to have the stamp on your head from the Chatham House and the Council on Foreign Relations. If you don't have that stamp, you're not coming to the presidency anyway. So there's a lot to be done, my friend, and it's going to take years. I'll be 60 here in a short while, and I never thought that I would go back to America because I live on the Mediterranean. I'm looking at it right now. I live 100 feet from the Mediterranean, sun all day, palm trees, beautiful. And I'm giving everything up, including my businesses, to go back and do this full time to take America back. And I like I said, it's nothing that I ever wanted to do. It's something that became me. And through the people that have trust in me and faith in me to do this with the team that's being built on its own organically, I have no other choice, nor do I want to choose anything else than to go back and actually run this thing.
So is that sort of like the purpose of Take America Back is to like weed out all this corruption at the
Yeah.
top?
Well, it won't get out the top first, but the corruption only happens at the top because it's allowed at the bottom, because that's where the facilitation comes. Look at Dearborn. That was all local. But where did the money flow? It went upwards, didn't it? You cut out the bottom, they're not getting their money at the top. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you have the community organizers making sure all this happens, paying off Joey and Jim and Sally and Ahmed or whoever they're all called with a couple bucks here and a couple bucks there. And they push the button, move the money, sign the check, sign up. And, I'm the owner of the LLC. I've never seen the LLC. I've never seen the brick and mortar. I've never been to the place, but hey, I'm the owner. And then they get a couple, $1,000 and the rest goes to up the chain. If we stop that at that level, then they're going to stop getting their money. You can't do it all at once. You start in one city, then you go to another city, then you go to another city, then you go to another city, and it just starts spreading that way. And when people catch wind of it and see the successes that we're going to have, the more I talk, I should be doing this clandestine actually right now. Because the more I talk about it, the more I'm putting myself at risk here. But I truly believe that even those people that are in those positions right now that are taking money or looking away or doing anything like that, they're looking for a structure, and that's the biggest problem: is there is no structure. There's no guidelines to go by. This is how you act in government. This is how you lead in government. This is how you lead citizenry. This is how you act. This is how you talk. This is how you're supposed to be with each other. If you're not this way, you're not a leader. You're just a talking head, a loudmouth, or a bully. That's across the board, every party. It doesn't even matter who it is, right? And like I said, some people think I'm naive, And then, when I meet people, sometimes they meet me. I'm 6'4", 250 pounds, right? I'm big. And so they're like, okay, this guy's talking like this, but he looks like that. Okay, there must be something to it. You know what I mean? Because usually it's like you would think that someone talking like me, I'm soft and I'm weak and you got to do this and you got to do, and that's not what it is. It's strength that will carry us through, courage that will carry us through, and character that will carry us through.
This is a little bit different, but it still has to do with the US. I've heard a lot of people say that inflation is mostly caused by the Federal Reserve, but they also and they also sometimes blame the president for inflation. Do you think that inflation is the cause of the Federal Reserve or the president or both?
It's the president isn't king. Everybody remembers that, right? Inflation has nothing to do with the president of the United States. Zero. Zero. His words might have an effect here or there, but there's no effect on what he says or what he does. Okay, yeah, the tariffs might have a short blip or something, but not on inflation. I mean, look, just to give you an example, inflation's a tool. It's all it is. It's a tool for the powers to be in the financial world to squeeze the citizen. When I did my MBA in the UK, they had a computer simulation that you would run the economy of the UK for, I think it was 10 years. It was on a speed up. It took a whole day, like 8 hours of this computer program. And every time there was alerts, unemployment's rising, and inflation is raising, and all this kind of stuff. I did this project, 8 hours, and everybody had teams. I was the odd man out, so I had to do it by myself. Right. I got the highest score, the best economy ever in the history of that MBA course. And it was at Bradford University School of Business Management from Nimbus, which is the second oldest business school in the world. And I got the best economy that they ever had on that computer simulation. And why? Because I focused on the people only, not on defense, not on the people, and not on pleasing the foreigners, not on looking at other countries and trying to help their aid, all that stuff. Nope. It's about the people. What is good for the people? And it was that simple. I'm not an economist, not at all, but because I focus on the thing that matters, I got the highest score there ever was. Right.
Right.
So it's that simple. But this is the problem. You get into power. Hey, I got you into power. You owe me this. My friends over in Brazil, they need this, and my buddy over, in wherever needs this and that. So you can make sure this happens. I need that company to open there. I need that company to be shut down. I need these shipping routes opened up here. And that's what you start doing these favors. And our whole government is like that. Our whole government is like everybody's government is like that. Almost everywhere in the world, except for the smaller countries that can sort of get away with it, with being sovereign, like Ecuador. The president like lives in an old little house and drives like a VW bus or something. You know. So it's or Iceland when after the 2008 crash, they kicked all their government out, and citizens took over the government, and you weren't paid. It was you had a job, and then if you had some time off, you went and ran the country.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever in the US get to that place?
I think at the lower levels we'll be able to get to that place, and through re-educating and building beside the lower levels, that the peer pressure from good people will have an effect, and that people will see that acting correctly and positively and properly for the people around you is much better, more conducive to your own life than it is fighting everybody to try to get what you want or what your party wants. If I didn't believe, I wouldn't be doing it. Right? I wouldn't even be. Why would I give up my entire beautiful life to go to America and go to the shark pit if I didn't believe in it? Matter of fact, it's past belief. It's a knowing. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe not in my lifetime because I'm 60. I'll be 60, but maybe not in my lifetime. But it'll happen. But if someone doesn't start, it'll never happen. What I can't stand is all the talking heads, all the commentators, all the influencers talking about we need this, we need that, we need accountability. Why is nobody being arrested? Da 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 da. Everybody's complaining, but nobody's offering solutions. Zero. Right? We offer a solution. We have a book that you can read to learn how to start thinking in that way and see how the government actually works and how it should work. And then we have a course to train you to do that way. And you can use that course, that leadership course, to run your business, to run your life, to run your family. It isn't just for government. It's for everything starts with you. If you're not square, nothing's square. If you're not trained in proper leadership, and you're not trained, and anyone can be a leader, by the way. It's all about moral character, moral standards, character, and things like that. We show you how to let and unleash the best part of you about that, so that you can stand as a one person. You can't be corrupted and you can't be coerced. And it's not about being tough. It's about being resolute. So I truly believe in all of this, and it's just like I said, I know it's happening. So it's already happening.